What's up, everybody? This is the Newtown Square podcast, and this is your host, Drew Bradley. And today, for episode 4 of our business podcast, we've got Bryon Pierson Jr. on, and he's talking about his startup, EDUrain. And it was an awesome, really cool and interesting conversation. We got to learn the story behind EDUrain and the story behind of Bryon, really. So it was pretty awesome. And just like, any other Newtown Square podcast, we dived into some different topics, and it was pretty cool. So EDUrain is kind of a mixture between where it's a website where you can go on, you can file your FAFSA online, apply for financial aid, and apply for student housing all into one platform. And it's pretty cool to learn about. I don't really know too much about kind of that whole thing, so I learned a lot from it as well. So we'll just get right into it. So here we are with Bryon Pierson Jr., and here is EDUrain. Man, we got some Francis Coppola Merlot here.
Let's do it.
All right, this is the Newtown Square podcast, and we're here with Bryon Pierson Jr. of EDUrain.
Oh, got it right.
Go. There we go. During the test run, I got it wrong, but there we go. And that's why we do test runs. But we're here at the Newtown Square headquarters, which is just the office in my house. Nothing special, but we're going to talk to Bryon about EDUrain and kind of the journey that he's taken to get here. And it's pretty, we FaceTime for about 20 minutes, whenever, we had talked about doing the podcast. And just from that, have a pretty interesting story. But EDUrain, so where does that name come from?
So EDU is short for education, and Rain is the name my little sister that died when I was 13. And I believe that the more education you get, the more likely you are to be successful in creating a successful family.
Wow, man, that's pretty awesome. So means a lot. So what is EDUrain? Is kind of like is an interesting startup idea where you're blending, where you can apply for scholarships, or you can apply for financial aid, and where you can also apply for student housing all in one, kind of software. So where does that start at? Where'd you start this idea from?
Oh man.
And I know that might take a little bit. Maybe we could ease into it.
Look. There, we have a trained way of saying it.
Yeah.
So, it kind of started because I think that where it took me to get to EDUrain is really important and telling a story, because, I became the president of the LGBT organization at SIUE. And I grew, when I came into it, there was 5 people there. And in 2017, I grew it in basically a couple months from 4 to 70.
Wow.
And then we competed for homecoming. You compete against student government, all these other groups.
Yeah.
And we'd never done that in SIE school history. And we broke the amount of points that you can get and just destroyed the field. Because I was like, I'm going to create a place where kids are going to come and be who they are, and then they're going to join fraternities, and then they're going to join other things. Because I was like, because I found out that people knew I was LGBT from being at a fraternity party and me talking to this girl, putting on this show, being straight, and, and this girl comes up to her, and it was like a New Year's Eve party. And this girl comes up to her and was like, she thought she whispered it. She was like, this dude is secretly gay. He's made out with my friend a couple times. And I'm just like,
okay. Damn.
So, and I just kind of hid it for a long time. And it caught up with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I created that group because I was like, you know what? this is not the way to be LGBT. This is not. So then when I created that, when I stepped out to join that group, I was like, I'm gonna create this. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
We're gonna do events with fraternities and sororities, like, because this is gonna be like that spot where you can come be who you are, and then you go and find your own groups from there.
So how'd you like grow it from 4 to 70? Like, what was the ways you did that?
Look, I'm gonna let you know, when you first get on campus in the fall, if you see a bunch of flyers about this happening organization, you're gonna think it's happening. That's how you grow it. You know, if ain't nobody doing anything, it's you the first one to present.
Yeah.
You're gonna have the best organization.
Yeah.
So then, and then when we competed, then I looked at, and when we won, I looked at how do you enroll and retain LGBT students in higher education. And I came up with this system of how to do it. I looked at over 330 colleges across America, and in 12 different states. And I looked at graduation rates of their high schools in those states, and then matriculation into college, like who immediately goes to college right after they graduate, and also looking at what those colleges are doing to help LGBT students graduate. And then I built this like ranking system. And like I was going into high schools talking about it, and I had this one, African-American, black girl from Cahokia High School sitting front row in John Heek's class being like, Mr. Pierson, this is cool and all, but like, how is this going to help me pay for school? And, and I started talking to a lot of LGBT students. They're like, Bryon, we have the same thing. So it naturally just went into that help for financial aid type of area. Yeah. Just talking to kids. And, I was like, okay, this is what we're going to do because this is what the kids want. And then from there, in 2019, I did 8 programs, 7 entrepreneurial training programs and 1 tech training program. And I worked at an international college access organization as a program evaluator in their national office. Mm-hmm. That gave me credibility to talk about college beyond some dude that did research. Yeah. Because in that national office, I was evaluating for 15 different sites, 2 in Mexico, and then 13 across America. One of them being in St. Louis, one of them being in Cincinnati. There's a Nevada office, Colorado office, there's New York City office. Wow. And then I went to WashU to recruit some interns, and I had 150 students apply. I thought I was gonna get 3 or 5.
So interns for EDUrain?
Yes, interns for EDUrain. Because I was trying to commercialize the research or whatever. And from there, I got a kid that literally started a business with his family, just like Mark's Appliances, your family, but they're an Asian family that did a marketing support company for restaurants because they used to own a bunch of China Kings. Yeah. And so they specialize in shipping stuff from China to these China King restaurants all across the St. Louis area and creating marketing materials and advertisements for them. And I got him to join us because he was a developer at WashU. Yeah. That built this company, built all the tech for his mom. And he joined us. And from there, he recruited his cousin. And now we have 9 developers at EDUrain. And since November 2020, he joined in May 2020. November 2020 is when we were able to put out our first application for kids to use our scholarship platform. And since November, we've had over 250 people use our platform.
Holy smokes. So would you call that a success then?
I think we're getting there. Yeah. I think we're getting there. I think the measure of success for us is how many kids actually get money for school. Yeah. And how many kids say that college is easy for them. And then also the number of kids that use our platform that graduate college, period. I personally want 100% of our kids that use our platform to graduate college. Yeah. That's a successful company. That is, yeah. That's a very successful company.
There's this Gary V. You know Gary V?
Everybody knows Gary V.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess if I ask my dad, he might not know. But he says if he how he's always got those cliche kind of sayings, but
just get out there. You just got to do it.
Just get out there and do it, man.
And then he
stop caring what people think.
You're not doing Gary V if you're not cussing. He's always
right. I'm trying to keep it PG.
Yeah, we got to keep PG.
But he has this one. It's even if you get 1 follower, that's all that matters. Just feed to him or her, and it's yeah, that's kind of true. If you can get at least 1 person to kind of pick up on what you're doing, it's pretty cool. But so you're from Alton though, right?
We from everywhere.
Yeah.
So I lived in Alton until I was like 14 years old, roughly. And I like ran away from home when I was like 13, 14.
Yeah.
Put myself into the foster care system. And
so what is, if you don't mind, like how do you, I guess, let yourself know like, okay, that I don't want to be in this situation and this is what's going to happen. I don't want to. It depends on how personal you want to get on this podcast.
I mean, we can get personal. I think that,
but it's man, it's like it takes a lot of like it's just a unique story. That's a unique kind of upbringing, a unique occurrence.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I do not recommend it.
Yeah.
Do not recommend foster care as a whole. If you're a kid out there looking like, oh, I got a bad life. Look, I'm gonna let you know. Foster care did a lot of good things for me as a person, but I'm gonna let you know, like living in people's houses that you don't know, your relationship with your friends at the school, because like it was different from being like a person at Alton High that lived with my father, that like had friends.
Yeah.
Because like, I was just some kid. When I went to Roxana, first off, going to Alton, Illinois to Roxana, Illinois, let me tell you. I went from a school that was pretty diverse to a school that I was one of 6 people that wasn't white.
Yeah.
But you know what though? They thought I was Michael Jordan when I showed up because every coach met me that first day. Like I'm talking about the basketball coach pulled me out of class, the wrestling coach, the track and field coach, and it was like, man, you'd be the best thing. And because I did wrestling in 7th grade. I ran track in middle school too. I kind of lost my way my freshman year in high school, just being like, some dumb, kid.
Yeah.
And then I got back into sports that was part of the reason why I went into foster care. I want to go back into sports because I was like, because my freshman year in high school, how I was living life, I thought I was probably going to get shot by the time I was 20, 21.
Yeah.
I mean, like everybody around me was like, dealing drugs, they was out there fighting, like, you know what I'm saying, like, and like that's the kind of lifestyle that I was like put into. But then like when I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back into sports, and then because like all my best friend at the time was a dude named Ben Lowski, who was the student body president my sophomore year going into high school, and that kind of changed my life because like it was some dude that was cool with everybody. And
Lowski's his last name?
Yes.
Does he have 2 sisters that are twins? From Alton?
Do they live by West?
Well, I don't mean to interrupt, but I do know 2 twins who are my age that are Lowskis.
Do you know where they live at?
Yeah, well, they live in Alton. I don't know where, but
let me do a Facebook search.
So that is pretty incredible. I mean, like I feel like when did you have that realization that you didn't want to be in that situation that upbringing you were in? Like,
are their sisters older than him?
No, 2 years younger.
No, that is the wrong people.
No, wrong people. Okay.
Because I would have known because I think he has an older sister.
Okay.
I think he has some siblings that are older than him.
Okay.
Because like we used to go over his house, so like.
Yeah. Here you can get some more of that wine too if you want.
Right.
But when did you get? How'd you like? What age did you realize? Okay, I don't want to be in this environment in my upbringing.
Well, I love how you want to go more deep into that.
Well, sorry, it's just like so interesting because I feel like at your age, I mean, in your life at that age, you probably were very mature in like your realizations with things. It seems like
no,
because I was not. I was kind of go with the flow type of whatever. Maybe not as, I'm always pretty hard on myself though too. But I feel like I wouldn't have. I don't know. Just the realizations aspect of it, but
so I mean, my father. Sorry, I'm not trying to put him out there, but we had the water turned off one time. We always had the water turned off, something turned off, and he was more worried about having fun, and when you're a kid, like, yeah, you care about having fun, but like you got schoolwork and stuff like that, like, and like I surrounded myself with people that were like trying to go to college. And like that's just a different mindset. Like, you can kick it your whole life, but like there are people around you in life if you're a social friendly person that are trying to get their lives together.
Yeah.
And once you become a part of, you are the people that you keep around you. That's why I have a lot of friends that have degrees, but also have friends that don't have degrees that are very social, that are social people that are living life just because they're social. People like them.
Mm-hmm.
And so my aunt kind of helped me out. My aunt, she I never had any contact for me in high school. And my aunt stepped in when she was the contact for my teachers. And whenever the teachers got my father never really had a phone. That changed because the teacher would be like, if you don't do well, I'm going to call your aunt. and that changes the environment.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Because if she's giving me money for clothes, if she's letting my friends come over, I wanted that to keep happening. So if all I got to do is have good grades and I can have 15 of my friends over, we about to do it, I'm trying to have my friends over, and my father called me as a runaway actually, because I started living there and I just stopped going home.
Yeah.
And when my life got better, he tried to call me back, and he called me as a runaway. And I remember being in handcuffs at Alton High for being a runaway, even though my teachers,
even though you were in high school.
Yes,
you were in class.
I was in class.
Wow.
Never have I seen a runaway get arrested for being in class.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
right.
I'm just trying to learn. Y'all know where I'm at. And my teacher, and the sad thing about it is, my teachers was crying too.
Yeah.
Because they was like, this kid turned his life around, and now somebody that they don't know is trying to get involved in a situation where they felt like they turned the kid in the right direction.
Wow.
And that's why I feel like I owe it to them to be a success in life, because they built the building blocks to who I was getting ready to become.
Wow. Well, I think what are you, 20? Are you 26?
27.
27? Man, well, at 27, you've already built a startup. I'd say that's a success right there.
Look, it's a bunch of emails.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of emails.
It's a lot of networking, too. I saw on your website you have a lot of board of advisors there. So you had a lot of people that helped you out with it.
Yeah.
Man, it's because it's like you have this idea, and it's like even with this podcast, it's like I had this idea of, okay, I want to start this podcast, but it's so hard to start something solely by yourself.
I agree. And
it's like, you think you want to, at least for me, it's like I have so many things that I want to do. And especially when you're young, if, you're trying to start something by yourself, you have, all the aspects you want to get into because you want to learn as much too. But you kind of also got to worry about just, putting your time where it matters you don't want to get into it in too deep with too many different things, because it turns out that you're not really getting a whole lot done when you can have other people do certain things and learn from their kind of mindset about the project too. But yeah.
So I mean, this is probably the 6th podcast that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you that everybody has a different way of going about it. When I was on the Startup Journey podcast, that was a kid, who actually I think so let me say this first, because there's a couple things I want to say about that.
Yeah.
One, like he was like, I need people to come on my podcast. And I was like, okay, EDUrain doesn't have that many marketing dollars, so let's use podcasts. Let's go on a podcast tour.
Yeah.
And it was COVID, so nobody was really doing anything.
Yeah,
And,
a lot of people were doing podcasts. Yeah, that's because it's one thing that you could do.
Everybody did it. Everybody, mama had a podcast.
Yeah.
Literally,
still to this day too. It's still growing.
Look. They were like, this is the Johnson Son podcast. And then the next day, this is the Johnson Mom podcast.
It's like, you're so right too. It's like Barstool Sports has 50 podcasts about different stuff, but it's all kind of the same thing.
Right.
And it's like, they're so cool. They're cool because, everybody has one. So it's like, okay, why should I listen to your podcast? But it's cool because it's like, you have this way to put your thoughts out there and put any like little and it doesn't take a lot of money to do it. Like it takes like you got to get the equipment, you got to to get it out to like the platforms. It doesn't really cost anything, but like it's just it's cool that you're able to like, because it used to be like maybe in like the 70s or the 80s to put your voice out there through the radio or the TV. You had to be like some famous person, but now with like, especially even with like TikTok, like anybody can get famous. Or not that that's the goal, but just the idea of being able to put your voice out there to where anyone can hear it is a cool idea, I think.
So I'm gonna say this: the reason why I brought up the Startup Journey podcast is because it was this WashU kid, and WashU struggles to reach people outside of WashU, and I know that. And like, I'm from here. And I'm like, they need people like me to come and work with them because I really am people out here. Yeah. They want to reach people out here and I'm out here. And so
now when you say out here, you mean like you're out meeting people and out doing stuff and
literally a person that have like came from the soil in the St. Louis area.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm grown from here.
Yeah.
Like WashU has a problem. Well, not WashU has a problem, but that is their opportunity to grow, is to be more involved with the people that are homegrown here. Because that's the thing. They're a global school that is bringing people here, but they want to be a mix of like people that are here, but also drawing people here. They want to be the best of the best. And I wanted to be a part of that environment. And then from then, that's when the podcast invites started to come in. Oh, Bryon, I saw the Startup Journey. Shout out to
after that one?
Yes, after that one. Nobody wanted to be the first person to have me on a podcast. They liked what I was trying to do, but they didn't want to be the first person to say, I'm going to put this man out here.
Why do you think so?
Nobody wants to be the first person on something cool.
Yeah.
They want to be the person that is like the second, third on something cool. You know what I'm saying? Because like the first one is risky. Because what if it isn't cool? What if it was lame? What if it was a lie? What if EDUrain was really like, Walmart? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. I see what you're saying.
Like, so
it is risky too, because even it's like, so when we did this, so we typically have like, well, not typically, but if we have three podcasts where we've done like a video portion of it where we have like 3 to 5 minutes and it's like video of the business and whatnot. And even from the first podcast that we did with Evo Fitness to the last video podcast that we did with some realtors, and we did just like drone around the city. It was so different, like from like even like the editing process, from the transitions to the one in the realtor video were so much smoother and better than the one in the Evo. I shouldn't say better, but there was more experience. I see what you're saying. I'm kind of over-explaining that, but
well, I get what you're saying.
But you learned so much in like a short period of time, like from the first to even just the 4th episode. Right. You know what I mean? But so you've done 6 podcasts.
Yeah, some podcasts they said they were going to come out with, they never came out with.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Well, because they just stopped doing the podcast. You know what I'm saying? With everybody having a podcast, there's gonna be people who do a couple, and then
they're like, I don't want to take the time anymore to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
So and I honestly, I'm still waiting for Campus Connections podcast.
Campus Connections podcast. Come on, get with it.
Yeah. Look. Soon as y'all drop, and I will put this on LinkedIn. Yeah. It's because I've trended on LinkedIn 6 times last year.
Oh yeah. You turned what on LinkedIn? Podcasts?
I trended.
You trended on LinkedIn. Yes. Okay.
I didn't know you could trend on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, dude. LinkedIn, from a marketing standpoint, like is the easiest to trend on. Like they're organic. I think like from, and this is going back to Gary Vee. This is some Gary Vee stats that I've seen. They're organic marketing, like from organic posts. The organic posts reach more people on LinkedIn than any other platform, like Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. So yeah, and I've noticed like there's some posts I'll put on there, like I just put on one and it's got like 4,000 views, and I don't think any other
we're not even connected on LinkedIn.
No, I mean, we'll have to do that.
We're gonna have to do that,
yeah. But yeah, we'll put some clips on there, man. It'll be cool.
So there's some things I did want to talk about on this podcast.
Yeah.
One, education, I think, is super important.
Mm-hmm.
They keep talking about right now, and this is the narrative that I'm going to fight till I die. Is you don't need a college degree anymore. I'll let you know right now. You know how, if you're a black or Hispanic person, you know how to fight racism? Education. Because if you don't fit like that, because like they want you to be kind of whitewashed. They want you to be kind of whitewashed.
In universities?
No, I'm talking about in life. With jobs and like partnerships and relationships. And if you think now they do? Oh yeah. They market, be who you are.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to actual shut up and get to work. I mean, because and it's kind of controversial to even say that. Good thing I built EDUrain. And because
you can say whatever you want.
Well, I'm not gonna say I can say whatever I want, but I can say what's really happening.
Yeah.
And like, I got investors and advisors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like, this is the fight that we fighting.
Yeah.
We're trying to take kids. We went into Cahokia High School. We did not go into O'Fallon. We didn't go into Edwardsville. We went into Cahokia High School and was like, the kids in this room are gonna win. Because like, you go. There's some cases in O'Fallon and Edwardsville and stuff like that. I was an athlete in O'Fallon. Also O'Fallon is better than Edwardsville. Go Panthers.
They're such a similar city.
You think so?
O'Fallon, at least from what I've heard, everything that happens in O'Fallon also happens in Edwardsville. Well, they're both growing, I feel like, a lot. Especially recently.
Different kinds of growth.
Yeah.
O'Fallon's growing military city. Edwardsville is a growing. I live in the Metro East and I want to act like I got a bunch of money, so I live in Edwardsville. A growing like, yeah, okay, I can see. It's a real Metro East city. Edwardsville is the real Metro East city.
Yeah,
you're not moving here because you work at Scott Air Force Base.
No, you're right.
You're moving here because you're from Collinsville. You're from Alden. You're from Brighton. Mm-hmm. You got a job in St. Louis, and you want to be one of those people that say they live in Edwardsville. But Edwardsville got to get school.
It's so funny because I feel like growing up, I never really thought
about
that until I went to college, and I was friends with a lot of guys from Collinsville, and they were always like, "Oh, Edwardsville, blah blah blah," and they were like, "Oh, you think you're better than everybody?" And I'm like, "Whoa, man, come on."
You're like, "I am."
Well, like, yeah, dude, come on. So going to like. You're saying the best way to fight against racism is getting an education. Whenever I went to school at Mizzou, I was in the journalism school, and it was very diverse. I was in a couple business classes, and it was from the other classes that I went to in different like majors. Journalism, I feel like, was probably the most diverse. And they had a lot of different opportunities for minorities and people of color to succeed. They had different scholarships.
Well, that's part of the business.
Part of it.
That's part of the business, though. It's journalism. Journalism is so honestly. Look, I'm about to lose some followers on this one, but
hey, we're going in. We're going.
Journalism is like marketing. It's just picking what stories you want to market.
It's picking what ideas you want people to. Yeah, you're right.
To know about.
Yeah.
Look, you as the journalist. Because, like, if you don't think it's interesting, you don't care. Unless you really care about your bottom line and you realize that the people that your followers care about that. Because then you got two different kind of journalism, right? You got the journalism and, like, look, I'm an idiot. I don't know, right? But I'm just saying what I know from talking to people in journalism. You got the people who are independent journalists that are reporting what they want to report. And then you got the industry that is reporting on what makes money and what keeps fear together and what divides in politics.
Yep.
Also, I do have a degree in political science, but you will never hear me talking about a political party because I work for both of them and I would never work in politics.
No, you're so right, though. There was I watched, are you familiar with like Project Veritas?
What is that?
So it's basically these group of investigative reporters and independent journalists, but they kind of have their own. Their basically idea is to like find corruption in media corporations. So they went undercover with the CNN technical director, and he was caught like. So basically, I guess this girl put a mic and a camera like on between her, shirt, like as like a button almost.
Her chest. You could just say her chest.
Yeah, like on her chest or something like that. And she asked him on a date, and they went on a date, and they were having drinks, and she basically got him drunk, and he was saying like the reason why we have like the death toll for COVID on is to create fear. Like he literally said that.
Okay, look.
Like that's so crazy.
Okay, look. I'm gonna say this. I don't know about all that.
No,
I'm not gonna make comments on that. And I'm gonna say this as a person that works in trying to get kids to college. We are very confused on how things are gonna go with coming back to campus, requiring vaccinations. Actually, colleges were the first entities to require people to have vaccinations to come back. Now you're seeing bars in St. Louis do it too.
Yeah.
Just Johnson Rehab are the first two bars to kind of headwind that. And I think that you're going to see more and more society do that. And you're also going to see a class divide of black people that are scared because of the Tuskegee syphilis thing that happened when they were injecting people who look like me with syphilis. And then and that was only 2 generations ago.
Wait, what is this? I've never heard of this.
The Tuskegee experiment where they were injecting black people with syphilis. And that is the reason why a lot of black people aren't getting the COVID vaccine, because that is 2 generations ago.
Yeah.
So that means that people's grandmas, great grandmas and stuff like that, and grandpas were in that time period.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons, and I didn't know about that, but there's a lot of reasons why people in general, well, I would say most people are getting the vaccine, but there's a lot of reasons why people
like 50%
don't
of
want
America's
to.
vaccinated.
Yeah.
No, I'm vaccinated.
Yeah, and there's a lot of reasons why people don't want to either. And everything's just so confusing. I think like probably now, like if I was gonna say like this time last year, I would be like, okay, by this time next year, things are gonna get clearer and it's not gonna be as confusing. But like, dude, I feel like now like.
Oh no!
The world is more confusing, than ever. Like it's so like everything you hear is different. And I know there was this big concert festival, Lollapalooza, this weekend. I think they made they had like vaccine passports there too. So yeah, I think.
Well, what you're gonna see is you're gonna see the people that aren't vaccinated, which are generally poorer than the people that are vaccinated. And sorry, my phone is just
man, you're a wanted man.
when you run a business, man, I tell you, like there's that's why I tell you everything.
Yeah, you make me feel like a loser, dude. I'm not getting no notifications. My mom texted me. That's it.
No, look, every day I probably get somewhere between 20 to 30 emails, probably 30 to 40 texts, and probably like 20 to 30 Snapchats.
Dang, man.
Probably 20 to 30 Facebook messages. But I also run a organization that is helping over 250 people that relies on partnerships.
Yeah, so I feel like we haven't talked about EDUrain enough during this. So let's maybe get back into that. So you've had 250 people?
Over 250.
254. And is it like a social network in a way?
No, because we ain't trying to get y'all to talk to each other.
No,
we don't care about that.
Okay.
EDUrain is like Zillow and financial aid for college students.
Yeah.
It is a place where you can find ways to pay for school, and find ways to find housing and pay for housing.
Wow. So where did the housing part come into that? How did you think of the idea of adding housing?
I'm so happy you asked. I'm like smiling because I love it. Because I honestly,
you're like, I got the best answer for this.
Well, no, because I didn't know. So to be honest with you, I forgot that I even thought about housing when I built this thing called the Serenity Plan, which was this 9-step LGBT diversity plan in higher education at SIUE. It had a housing component to it. That was like this huge document that I created. And I forgot about it. And then all of a sudden I came up with the housing for EDUrain. And then I looked back at my notes and I was like, oh my God, I thought about this already. What? And then I'm like, I'm executing it to a T. You know, it's good. When you have a good plan in the beginning, you can live life on autopilot. Because it's just following a plan. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have a good plan, you spend a good year or two trying to make a plan to how your life is going to be. You can live life on autopilot after that because you are just following steps to a plan.
Yeah.
You know, like, the housing, you know, I saw Zillow. I looked at Zillow. I thought about my housing experience. I looked at Craigslist. I looked at their housing experience, my housing experience with them. And I was like, I can do this better. I was like, if I can create a platform where you can get money for school, you can file your FAFSA free in 5 minutes, you can win scholarships, find housing, and you can actually get money to pay for housing, that's good business. And I was like, and I'm going to roll with it. And it was scary. It was scary to say this is what I'm rolling with. I had to talk to like...
Why so?
Well, because then it came into personal loans and like loans. And now we're like licensed in the state of Missouri to give out loans. And like, you know, and I'm like... I'm a licensed individual. I'm like, oh my God. And you know, like, I mean, like, no, like, I mean, just think, like, these are things that are just roadblocks and stuff are just like things that we do. Yeah. And like, it becomes surreal. Cause you know, cause I was like poor. When I graduated college, I was like pretty much homeless. Nobody thought I was going to be anything in life. People thought I was like dumb. I wasn't smart. I wasn't connected enough. And that's why you see the efforts to be connected like I am now. I'm not saying I'm connected now. The efforts to become connected because I think the way that EDUrain is going to win if I talk to everybody and get them all on the same page. And I always talk about, I always think about, not talk about it, I'm going to start talking about it. It's like winning an era in time. Because if you Google my name, you're going to see a lot of news articles because I started to look at time and how are we actually a part of this time period that we're in. And I think that EDUrain is going to be able to win the era. It's going to be able to be the system to get financial aid because the government has their own system. Then all these private organizations have their own system. And then housing has their own system. We're going to create one system that puts that all together and we're going to win the era of how do you actually financially access college.
Win the era, like you're saying, win the generation?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Both.
I've never heard of it said like that. That's pretty interesting. That's cool. Because it's like you're trying to get on as many media platforms to make it known that you started during this era and then keep going.
Yeah. I mean, there are administrators that will look at me in the face now to this day. You guys aren't doing nothing. Ha ha ha. And I'm like, I love that you say that because you said that when we had nothing. Yeah. Now we got 250 users and I'm like, I love it. Keep saying it because that's motivation. And also
250 people, that's a lot of people.
That's not a lot of people. Not to what we're trying to get.
Well, yeah, I'm sure, but from like, so it's been around for how
Since
long?
November.
Since November only? Wow. Yeah, that's like a lot, I feel like, for just 8 months. That's quite a bit.
We're trying to get to 1,000 by the end of the year.
Yeah, that's a good goal.
That's why we're doing a bar crawl in the Grove. We have like 7 bars signed up. You just come in with your old college gear. You know, if you're vaccinated, you're going to be able to be let into the bars. It's going to be a good time.
Dang.
On August 14th.
Wow.
We're flexing our political muscle by doing a bar crawl because that is a very political move.
Yeah.
Not political as in like Republican, Democrat. Political as in like connections. Politics is all about, the real politics is all about connections and people liking you. Mm-hmm. Fake politics is about Democrats and Republicans.
My cousin always told me it's 80% of who you know and 20% what you know.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Because, you know, there's some, like, honestly, I'm sorry. And I didn't mean to make a comment about Democrats and Republicans. We need both of them in order to work our political system. But I've worked for both parties. So, you know, and I've helped some independents do some things. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, I can talk about whatever. Right.
Yeah. And you've seen kind of both sides of the aisle.
Yeah. I mean, I was I was campaigning for Bruce Rauner, governor in Illinois, and Troy, Illinois. And they had me on streets like Ronald Reagan Boulevard and George W. Bush Boulevard and, those kind of things. But I've also...
And people saw a black Republican and were like, whoa.
They was like, whoa, then we got this guy.
They were like, yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
They were like, golden ticket.
Yeah, we're going to win this one. That's exactly they thought. And then they did win that one. They did win that one. Look, and then also worked for, also supported people like funny. Chris Miller for, treasurer in Madison County.
Yeah.
Daniel Biss when he was running for governor in Illinois. I've supported some governor tickets.
Yeah.
Also Josh Young, independent from Alden, trying to be mayor. I support those. Now we're on the St. Louis side, so like the politics is a little bit different because they got more money, but less money per person compared to the Metro East.
Yeah.
And also they don't really, you know what? I grew up in the Metro East and I feel like St. Louis did not care about us.
No, I don't even see. That's another thing. Growing up, I never even thought of St. Louis growing up. I never.
We didn't.
I never not even for a little bit. Not till high school. So it's hard to go to Cardinals games. Did I really even think about going to St. Louis? And then I went to some hookah bars whenever I was underage and threw up in a bush, and that was about it.
Oh, girl. Well, I don't know about that would be on the podcast, but
no, I know.
I'm gonna say this. I remember being a wrestler and a cross country runner at O'Fallon, coming over to St. Louis, and always wanted to be a St. Louis high schooler.
You wanting to be one?
Yes, because in the environment I was in at O'Fallon, I thought if I was in the equivalent of O'Fallon, like a Ladue, it would have been a funner high school experience.
See, you would have thought. See, I'm sure I'm going to say this and you probably were like, oh, you already are that. But I always thought going over to St. Louis and whenever we would play them in sports or play them in golf, I would always be like, God, these dudes just seem like some country club a-holes. And that's kind of what I thought of them. But I don't know. They were just, maybe that's stereotypical. But.
O'Fallon had that too.
Yeah, and then so did Edwardsville too.
So look, and I'm gonna say this. Yeah, you mean they had money and they had a very stable life?
Yeah.
Okay, going to Alden, oh my God, there were shootings all over the place, crackheads everywhere. Girl, I'm sorry that you thought the country club a-hole was terrible, and I was like, if we could just have stabilization, and we could just have people smiling at each other. And honestly, the reason why people can listen to me in life, I think personally, is because I've been around so many different kinds of people. I don't judge because I know exactly. I've lived with nuclear families where 3 kids, mom and dad are both white. They were high school sweethearts. They lost connection. They got back together and they love each other. Shout out to Jack Edgar and Kiki Edgar. I live with Mary Go 5. She has 7 kids, single mom, lives in Roxana. She's by herself. She foster care kids. Shout out to Mary Gold and Roxana. I live with the Hurst family, black family. They had 2 kids together. Lawrence Hurst had a kid before they got together. They're a military family in O'Fallon. Shout out to them. I lived with other families after that too. And the Williams family in Caseville, Illinois, when I went to O'Fallon, helped me get a job in the city of the Collinsville Street Department. Shout out to them. But I've seen so many, and I lived so many different kinds of lives. I'm talking about extreme Republican, extreme Christian, extremely Baptist, extremely Pentecostal, don't care about politics or faith. Just, I've lived with a lesbian woman that had 2 kids, in the foster care system. She was a lesbian woman that had 2 kids and she was black. And I've seen it all. So I'm just honestly, when it comes to how people live their life, I just like to hear what they want to say and what they thinking. Now, the only thing I get off the train on what people thinking is when they start spitting out things that aren't facts. Then I'm like, get out my face. You know? But if you're telling me from your opinion how you live life and what you think and feel, I can vibe with that because that's actually who you are.
Wow. Man, that is some of the realest stuff I've heard, I think. But that's amazing. So you've basically been raised by
people.
All different.
Yeah, people.
Yeah, man. That's like you've been raised by America pretty much, it seems like.
That's why I'm pretty patriotic.
Yeah.
I don't like people talking bad about America.
No.
We got our own problems, but I'm like, the Olympics is on. I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to see Shannon beat the mess out of somebody from Africa or whatever. I'm about to see Jermaine run the 100 fast as hell. Like, honestly, and I'm about to, honestly, I am so for America. Like, honestly, and it's like people think that it's like some like Republican thing to be patriotic, and that makes me mad. That makes me so mad. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not.
I'm not saying it is, but I know what you're saying exactly. Like, it's like if you're driving through a neighborhood and you see a house with American flag on it, I think in my mind they're Republican. And maybe that's just because of the way that things are right now, where everything's so divided, and on one side you see, like the one side that is, burning flags, they're the Democratic side mostly, it seems like. But on the other standpoint, I don't want to get too political, but we've already gotten too political with this whole podcast.
So look, let me say this. There's some problems with America that we're trying to fix. That has nothing to do with the people that are in this generation.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to do with the people that are the generation before them. It has something to do with the people that was in Europe way before the when the Indians were here.
Mm-hmm.
And they create a system that we are trying to fix now. Remember that. And so, and as a person that is trying to figure out how to fix the system, but also there's some people that just won't succeed. And the people I don't want to succeed are the people that don't want to try.
Mm-hmm.
They should not succeed.
No.
The people want to try, I want to give them all the resources in the world to succeed. That is what I'm fighting for. I'm not fighting for lazy people.
That's a great way to put it.
I'm not fighting for lazy people. I'm fighting for people that are like, nah, look, I don't want to live in squalor.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm comfortable with reaching out for help. So that's another thing. A lot of people don't want to reach out for help. It's scary to say I need help. I'll tell you real quick, I need help. You want to help me with this grant? You want to help me with this investment app? You want to help me with my marketing? You want to help me with development?
I can help you with maybe the marketing, dude. We'll try. But that's a great way to put it, though, man. It's like you're trying to help people because, for the people who don't want to work hard and, no matter what you want to do, even with this podcast, it's like it takes a lot of, even though it's just at this point, right now, we're just two dudes talking on a mic, it takes a lot of work to get that done. And you've had, and I can't even think about all the hard work you've had to do to get to where you're at right now throughout your life.
A lot of no's.
Yeah, and you got to fight through that, and you want to help those people, and the people who can't help themselves, it's like, it's just it is a great way that you just put it there. But a lot of no's, like I know before we recorded the podcast, you were talking about like your first failure. Could you talk about that a little bit more? I don't think we ever really got into that.
So it kind of it's emotional for my first failure, and honestly I kind of the past year I've accepted that it was a failure. The Serenity Plan, which is named my little sister's name was EDUrain.
Okay.
The Serenity Plan was this 9-step 3-year LGBTQIA diversity plan in higher education. And what I personally love about myself is I've done so many things to help gay and LGBTQIA people, but I do not seem super LGBTQIA as a person.
What is the IA at the end?
Intersex and asexual.
Okay. Man, I don't even know that. I don't even know. What is
I know it's not your life. And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. They're adding more to the spectrum of people that aren't straight.
Okay.
Which they're trying to make it more relatable. And because there's so many different vibes. Because like being straight is a whole vibe itself. Like I almost married a girl in high school. So like I know, and like I've had girlfriends. So like I know, and like whenever you're straight, you don't got to worry about it. You can find a girl in the grocery store.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you can, you really can. Like honestly, when I was in high school, we would go to the mall and we would try to get girls' phone numbers.
Yeah. Me and my younger brother, every time we go to the beach in Florida, we'd play this game called Babe Watch, and we just go hit on every single girl on the beach.
Okay, well maybe not say that on the podcast.
No, man.
Maybe not say that.
There's some things I said I might need to take out, but
I'm just saying. All I'm saying is that, so in my first failure, I thought people really cared. I thought that people really want to do things, but I did not have the political vehicle to be able to move it. Because people ask, why does Bryon get to be able to do this? And I would be like, what do you mean I get to be able to do this? You like, what? What do you mean get to be able to do something that's positive for our community? Anybody that has that objective and goal should be advanced. It's not about me. It's about the people we trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
I paid this girl's rent last week. And honestly, I'm like, she got her rent paid. She about to budget. She's going to live her life. Like, honestly, I'm so happy for her. Because it was one of those things where, like, her friends is like, hey, our friends drop out of our lease. It's going to be super cheap. Can you come and take over that part of our lease for the year? Because she's have a year-long lease.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that happens when you're a college student.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I mean, maybe, let me see. Let me figure out if I get my mom to come up with, like, she was like, I can come up with the $450 for the rent. I need somebody to come up with the other $450 for the deposit. Well, guess what? EDUrain come up with the other $450 for the deposit. Personally, I wanted her to come up with, I wanted EDUrain to come up with the first one's rent and deposit because that's more what we designed it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And, she goes to Truman State. Her name is Casey. She's great. In my failure, I realized that I did not have the political vehicle to make change.
So what you mean by that is like you having the people to help EDUrain
and to mention EDUrain to people and
to mention it. Okay.
Yeah.
So from like almost like a networking perspective.
Yes.
Gotcha. Can I ask you a question? How are you? Would you say you're hard on yourself?
Yes.
Yeah. Me too. And I've been thinking about that. I've been more conscious of that lately, like in the past like year now more than ever. And I was just curious, maybe that comes with like, because you mentioned you like had just realized, like had this realization that was like a failure, which is by no means like really a failure because you're still doing the same thing.
It was a failure as in like I didn't get what I was trying to get done.
Yeah.
But it built the building blocks to what EDUrain is now.
Yeah.
Because those people who look, I'm sorry, my phone is
No, you're good, man.
It is an animal in itself. Look, it is an animal in itself, my phone.
You're good.
It's one thing to go from the guy that's trying to change education with a bunch of research to the guy that is trying to help students succeed outside of what your university is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Totally different. Because I don't need y'all. I don't need y'all politically. I don't need y'all to create budgets. Only thing I need to do is just help the kids that we helping. And that's what we were looking at. And I'm really happy that I can say it was a failure because we were failing forward. We failed, but we got the right research. Mm-hmm. We got the right people on the bus. And we actually, when you want to market a story of how something is built, we have real authentic things to market. I went homeless. I carried a bag with a bunch of paperwork in it. People told me I wasn't gonna be anything. I did a Super Smash Bros. Tournament in Everettsville that reached 5,000 people on Facebook.
You did?
Only 3,000 people. Only 30 people showed up. Big Frog in Everettsville sponsored it. We had T-shirts. We had ranked players there and the Smash teams there.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things that we did that we can authentically say that we failed at and to be who we are today.
That's awesome, man. That's a good origin story to have.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, I think so.
So we're like at what time?
Yeah, we're at like an hour almost.
I know you have a lot of content.
Hey, dude, it's gonna be good. I'm thinking of so what I think I'm gonna do, is put a lot of these quotes on. We can get a picture after this, and get a lot of these quotes, and you can clip them up, and then run it as an ad. And whenever we've run stuff as an ad on Facebook, we've reached I think Alfonso's reached 15,000 people. So I think that's what we'll do. And there was a lot of good stuff on there. Do you feel like you've got everything?
Well, I think that there's gonna be a bar crawl on August 14th.
Yeah. First of all, how can when I can edit some of this stuff out too, where it's like that's just that last part right there. But how do if you're a college student or a soon to be college student looking for some, and it's awesome that you had reached out and wanted to be on this podcast too, and that's because that's what this podcast is all about, is just trying to showcase startups and local business and people from here to be, to come on and share their story. Because I think from brand storytelling, that's like the whole reason of why we're doing what we're doing. Because I think now more than ever, people resonate with stories behind brands. Because people want to work with people that they can trust too. And I think from this, never even met you in person before this, but it's like, I already can tell you're a real person. And you're like a real individual and you're an honest person. But say you're a soon to be college student, where do you go? What's EDUrain's website?
What I hope it to be is to be that doorway into a very convoluted and complex system, where you can get your FAFSA done, filing for governmental aid, where you can get scholarships and you can find housing, and we also help you pay for housing. That's what I want it to be. And I wanted to see it evolve into that. I want to have some partnerships with a bank to help you get a bank account. I want to have a partnership with an insurance company to help you get renter's insurance. And I also want to partner with Experion to help your landlord do tenant background checks. I want it to be that, and to be a self-sustaining thing. And I want it to be the biggest student housing and aid platform that's ever existed.
Wow.
You don't hear about, tech startups coming from Everettsville, Illinois. You don't hear that, and I'm like, no, we are out here doing it, and we're from Everettsville, Illinois.
So I got another question for you too. What is how do you stay motivated into wanting to keep this thing going, and to just how do you stay motivated on a day-to-day basis, or keeping your mind clear and to make sure that you get this done?
So many people called me pathetic in the beginning of this. Literally
Why?
Pathetic. I didn't have the connections. I didn't have the network. You're looking at 2-3 years in of research. So it's different now. But in the beginning, when I was like, hey, we're going to do something, they're like, ha, you're nobody.
Yeah.
Now, you don't ever want to tell me I'm nobody. But you know what? If you want to, you can. Because I'm like, oh, great. I can throw that in my pocket of motivation. I can go and talk to my developers. You know what? When we have meetings, we have 2 team meetings with other developers. I love telling them they think we're nobody. I love it because they're really talented people who can show you really what they do.
Yeah.
And and it's my job as CEO to market what they can do and their passion to help people.
Dang, man. It is kind of funny how whenever you try to start something, no matter what it is, there's people out there that will just hate no matter what.
Right.
It's like that. Do you ever see Chappelle's show?
Yeah, everybody's seen.
You know the player haters ball. He's like, hate.
Yeah,
It's so funny. So what's the website? EDUrain.org, right?
It's EDUrain.org.
And then what's the bar crawl?
You can go to EDUrain, EDURAIN, EDURAIN in our Facebook and events. You can log in and you can join our event.
Yeah, and I'll put that I'll find that link. I'll put it in the show notes too. So click in the show notes to get registered for that, and I'll put that in. I'll do like a little intro. I'll put that in the intro too. But yeah, Bryon, it was awesome. Thanks for coming here, and thanks for wanting to be on the podcast, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, we're always trying to tell our story. This is part of our. You got to be in the trenches in order to do the work.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you of all people could say that then. Because you've been in the trenches.
I'm always in the trenches. Always in the trenches.
That's awesome, man.
You know, that's what part of the reasons, like, you know, I'm in classrooms at WashU, SLU, the Parkway School District over in St. Louis, Cahokia High School. Like, I go into classrooms and like we are in the trenches, and we are not administration. We are people just trying to help. And that the reason why we can do that, because we're just people trying to help. We're not a huge nonprofit that has all these political ties. Mm-hmm. We're literally just some gay black dude and a bunch of students trying to build a new system on how to change education financially for the individual student.
That's awesome, man. Well, keep on keeping on, man. I'll be following you, man. I know you're getting some phone calls like crazy. Man, we're gonna have to end this podcast. This dude's busy, man. Hey, well, thanks, Bryon. It was awesome. Thanks for coming on.